time to journey with Jayni. I'm Jayni, and this is Journey with Jayni Hypnotherapy on YouTube. I thought I'd take some time just to have a little intimate chat. I asked for a few questions from you all, and I thought I'd answer some. I'm using my new Newman microphone, and I'm still getting to know this microphone, but I'm enjoying the process, and I hope that you are enjoying the upgrade to the audio quality of what I am here to produce for you. This space is one that I hope you will come back to again and again for comfort, support, positive affirmations, spiritual journeys. And remember, if you'd like one-on-one support, I'm here for you in that way. As a remote clinical hypnotherapist, I offer my services all around the world. We can connect through Zoom or by phone, or I can even create a custom audio recording just for you. So before we get into the questions and the answers, I'm going to leave my information right here for you. Okay? Good. So the first question is from Nikki. And Nikki asks, how long did it take to master the art of hypnosis? And that's a great question. Thank you for asking, Nikki. I was certified and licensed through HMI, College of Hypnotherapy, which is right outside of Los Angeles, California. And it was a very intensive in-person training that was 13 months long. After that, I spent about 2 solid years working through different techniques and really getting a hold of what hypnosis and what being a hypnotherapist meant to me. You are trained in a certain way, but it is of my belief that everyone should go about the art in their own way and personalize it. So you might notice, perhaps you haven't, I'm not sure, that none of my work is scripted. Not a single one. Whether they are videos that I have produced for YouTube, or whether they are live sessions, or whether they are custom audio recordings. In all the years I've been a hypnotherapist, I have never once used a script. That's the way I work. I don't knock hypnotherapists who do use scripts. Plenty of them do. Scripts work too. It's just not what I do. It's not how I work. And I had to discover that and make that choice on my own. So that's just one example of what I did over that 2 to 3 year period to really finesse the art in a way that served me and my purpose best. And Nikki, you also asked if I was successful the first time that I attempted hypnosis on a client. And my answer is yes. You know, when you're in the training process for hypnotherapy, you're sometimes sitting across from someone who's in that training with you, and you're practicing techniques and inductions on one another. And so technically that would be the first time for me. And I remember it working very well. And I was delighted and astonished, because it is quite a magical moment when you realize the power of hypnosis, whether you are the hypnotist or whether you are the person being hypnotized. You ask, what was my most interesting case. And I have had many, many very interesting cases in person. In fact, I'm so fascinated by all of the cases and every single person that I've been able to work with one-on-one. What I would say is that I want to honor privacy, so I'm not going to give away too many details, because I could say something here that someone would immediately pick up and know was their case, and I wouldn't want them to feel uncomfortable about that. So what I'll do is say this, and this is a true answer. I am absolutely amazed by the comment section of my most popular video here on YouTube, which is Visit Other Lifetimes. That comment section absolutely blows my mind. And no matter how many times I have guided others through past life regression, that comment section is so fun to go back and read again and again, to see that there is limitless possibilities when it comes to the hypnotic realm, that the subconscious mind remembers the soul's journey in amazing ways, and that has been the most interesting for me, for sure. Thank you for your questions, Nikki. Simon asks, what has made a lasting impression for me? And I thought about that quite a lot, Simon, and I thank you for that wonderful question. So much has inspired me, so much has left a lasting impression on my heart, a heart print, as we might call them. I'm going to give you one of countless, because we could be here all day if I listed off all the things that inspire me and have left those impressions. But I go back often to Maya Angelou, who is Dr. Maya Angelou is one of my absolute greatest mentors of my life. Her books, her poetry, even just some of her interviews and conversations, and all of the nuggets that she's left us with, the legacy of her. But particularly, I love going back and watching and listening to her recite my favorite poem of hers, And Still I Rise. And you can read that poem, and it's beautiful. You can read it in your own voice, and I'm sure it's lovely. But to hear her speak it and recite it and bring the power of her voice and meaning and intention, and I love it. So you can find it on YouTube, And Still I Rise by Dr. Maya Angelou, and listen to her recite it. There's nothing like it. So very much a lasting impression for me, and a great reminder to continue to rise. No matter what. She certainly didn't have an easy life. Not at all. So thank you for your question, Simon. I do appreciate it. Becca asks, what advice do I have for someone finding their feet in the field of hypnotherapy or therapy? And how do you get into hypnotherapy? Great questions, Becca, and I wish you so much success if this is the path that you're choosing for yourself. I would tell you that there's many different avenues. I went to HMI, College of Hypnotherapy. I was in person, but I do believe that they have online courses. I would ask you to just be careful not to select. There's a lot of more expedited, fast path, just kind of get through it quickly. And if you're serious about the art and the modality of hypnotherapy, or of any type of therapeutic modality, I would say to you to be careful not to take the fast path. Go in the direction that's going to give you the best education and the best opportunity to be the top of your game. So do your research on that. There's many different schools and as I say, different therapeutic modalities. So wishing you well on your journey. And I would say what I said a moment ago, you'll learn a lot. You'll receive step-by-step processes, inductions, all kinds of things like that. But make it your own. Don't be afraid to add your own personal touch. I think that's really important. Okay. The next question is from Tarot, Taro. And that happens to be one of my favorite songs by Alt J. If you've never heard this song, it is one of the few songs that anytime I listen to it, I cry. I mean, it just invokes a deep, deep emotion that comes to the surface. And in fact, I can't even really make out a lot of the lyrics of the song, but it's almost as if the vocals are an instrument just on their own. Anyway, I would recommend, as a side note, if you've never heard the song Tarot by Alt J, definitely give it a listen. Turn it up, put it in your headphones, your Bluetooth, and close your eyes and let it take you on a journey. But that aside, you ask, what advice do I have for people with ADHD who wish to reach a deeper hypnotic state? And the inference there being that perhaps your mind is going like a ping pong, boom, 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 all over, and you feel like you can't quite focus on my words or my voice or take hypnotic direction. And I would tell you that that's perfectly okay. I think that in many cases, where people find difficulty with hypnosis is that they feel that it has to be done a certain way, it has to feel a certain way, that they have to experience it the way they've watched others experience it. But it's a very personal, very unique journey for everyone. Believe me when I say I've seen it in so many different ways. I have seen people under hypnosis with their eyes open. I've seen them quite active. I've seen them in a near catatonic state. So there's lots of different ways. I've seen them expressive, smiling, crying. I've seen them still as stone the whole time. And when they come back, sometimes they remember a bit. Sometimes they don't remember anything at all. Sometimes it felt like they went into a void and all of their thoughts just disappeared. And other times it feels as if 1,000 inspiring, motivating thoughts come in and they feel really energized by that. So my point being, there is no right or wrong way. And it isn't about you shutting off all of those thoughts, at least initially. If those thoughts are there, follow them. Just go with them, whatever it is. If it's about laundry or a tree or a squirrel or homework or anything at all. It doesn't matter. And if the thoughts don't match other thoughts, if you ping pong from one thought to another, just let yourself go wherever you go. It's in just letting go that hypnosis is the most successful. So let go. Let yourself be. And when I say that, I mean that. Just let yourself be. Without judgment, without expectation. Just let go. Now, I did recently create a journey specific to those with ADD and ADHD. So scroll back, it's not far back, and you'll find it. It's real easy to spot. I have the thumbnail with ADHD right across, so it should be easy to find, and I believe it's in a blue color thumbnail. So look for that. Thank you for your question. Luke asks, is this a one-woman show? Meaning this here, Journey with Jayni Hypnotherapy. And I love that question, and I so appreciate that, Luke. And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. I do all of it by myself, and I'm proud to say that. It's a lot of work. It really is. But it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like a purpose. It feels like heart-centered work. So it's a little different than feeling like I'm in the grind, because I'm not at all. But it does take energy. It does take time, specifically for something like this. YouTube is an hours long process just for one video, but I'm happy to do it. It has been a delight, a deeper delight than I ever thought I could have here on this channel. I started it years ago, not knowing at all what it would amount to, and I'm so proud of it. I'm proud to be able to create it. I'm thrilled and warmed by the connections that I have here with so many beautiful soul friends. So I'm learning on my own. I don't have a marketing team, an advertising team. I don't have copywriters. I don't have editors. I don't have videographers. None of that. It's all me. So I am learning, and I do always appreciate any feedback. But I thank you for the question. I really, really do. Krista asks, what inspires me? What inspires me? And I would say I'm most inspired by people who have been through hard things, but are the most compassionate, inspiring people out there. We have choices. We all have choices. And you can say, well, this really hard thing happened to me, and so I'm going to treat other people the way I've been treated, so to speak. That's an example. I don't relate to that. I have compassion for people in that place, in that headspace, and I'm here to help if that's where you're at. But I'm inspired by those who rise up. They have inspired me. I do my best to rise from my own trials, tribulations, and traumas. We all have it within us to be able to do that to some extent. And so my greatest inspirations have always come from those who show me how to rise. And then I hope to be able to pass that on. That's my ultimate goal. And Krista, you asked if I'm a coffee drinker. I enjoy coffee. I don't need it. I don't require it every morning when I wake up. But a dear mother figure to me just bought myself and my partner an espresso machine. First one I've ever had here for my new house. And so we've been having cappuccinos in the morning, and oh wow. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I'm really excited about my cappuccino. And my partner Spring has figured out how to get it really frothy. So that's been really enjoyable, and I do really like cappuccinos. I didn't know I did until now, but now I know I do. The indecisiveness, so I don't know the name of this person, but their handle is the indecisiveness. And they ask, can hypnosis help when you don't know which path to follow? And I say, yes, most certainly. I couldn't tell you how many people hypnosis has been able to help people to clear their minds, get past the static and the noise of the critical and conscious mind, and come to make a decision for themselves. So I would love to help you with that. I was struck by the name of your handle, the indecisiveness, and my nudge to you is to change your name, because I want you to put it out there in the universe that you are a person who can make decisions. You're not as indecisive as it may feel. The decision is there. It's always there for you to make. You just make it, and you do your best with that decision. And if it needs adjusted, you adjust it later. If you want to change it, you can change it later. There's no dead ends. That's what's really wonderful about life. There's never a dead end. You just have another choice you can make, and then another choice, and another, and that's what we do. We're the architects of our life, and we just keep building on those pathways. And when we come to crossroads, we make a decision, and believe me, more decisions will come, and we can smooth out our roads as we move along. And we can always ask for help, so I'm here for you. I am. Michelle asks, how do I go from super relaxed to an actual hypnotic state? And I would tell you that the two are very much married. We go back to, again, this idea that a lot of people think that hypnosis feels a certain way. It can only feel a certain way. And that for some reason we're not experiencing it the way that we're meant to. And I would tell you, Michelle, that super relaxed state is hypnosis. It's the first or second level of it. You may not be completely all the way out, but a lot of people don't experience that total blackout. In fact, that's the most rare kind of hypnotic state. So that deeply relaxed state is right where I would want you to be. And if you can just allow yourself to be there without judgment, without worrying if you're not going to go any deeper or is that the right thing, if you just let yourself be, I bet the next time you might find yourself going even deeper. So the depth of hypnosis is not really the most important thing. You can be at level 1 or level 2 and still experience transcendent journeys. Okay? So just let yourself be. CM asks, what is a favorite memory of a house that I lived in? After I was adopted when I was 6 years old, I didn't move again until I was in college. So I grew up in the same house from 6 on. And so that's the first home that comes to mind. And I would say that my most favorite memories were Christmas mornings. I know that seems like a pretty simple answer, but there was just something about the magic and the peace, I think, the peace of that morning. Because in my home, I didn't always know when that was going to happen, when there was going to be peace. There were a lot of kids in the house, a lot of events, a lot of things going on, dramas, a lot of dramas. Some of them I was involved in, some not, but always things going on when you have a house full of people like that. And so there was some turmoil, quite a lot. But Christmas morning, no matter what else was going on in our worlds and our lives as a family, Christmas morning was peaceful and precious. And I loved the gift giving, and that would be, going to the scholar fair at school and just getting a little ceramic piece for my mom or a bookmark for my dad or something. But it was just that wonderful feeling of giving, and just you were so excited for them to open your little gift, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved the magic of it. The peace of it is what I remember. And we would have Vince Gill and Amy Grant albums, Christmas albums playing, and the smell of coffee. And I grew up in San Diego, so there was never snow outside. It was usually Santa Ana winds, dry, heavy winds. But kids in the neighborhood would be getting their new bikes for Christmas, and they'd be riding them, or rollerblades, or I would, my brothers would. We would have that same experience. And so those are the memories I go to that are the happiest in that home anyway. Thank you for your beautiful question. Misha asks, did I begin my practice with a spiritual point of view, or did that come up unexpectedly? And that's a really great question, Misha. Thank you for asking it. And what I would say is, I don't know if it was consciously chosen. but it felt right from the start. I always knew that tapping into this modality meant that I was going into a more spiritual place within myself and guiding my clients to that place. That for me, clinical feels a little, I'm less connected to that word, if I could be honest. And so you'll hear me say here and there that I'm a psychospiritual therapist and a hypnotherapist. Clinical aspect, as I say, it just never really felt like it aligned with what it felt like to me. It's always felt much more spiritual to me. I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it does. Not so much intentional, but it always felt right. And it just unfolded that way right from the start. So from past life regression to going to meet your guides, all of that came very naturally. So I hope that answers your question. It didn't necessarily come up as a conscious choice, but it just unfolded naturally for me that way. From past life regression to meeting your guides, your spirit guides, that just felt right from the start. Giorgio wants to know, if I were to make a movie about hypnosis or hypnotherapy, what message would I want to convey and who would I want to be casted in the movie? And that was such a fun question, and I thank you for that, Giorgio. I knew right away what my answer would be, because I cringe a little every time I see hypnosis used in a film, and it sends out this misconception that hypnosis takes power away from that person, and it makes them do things that they wouldn't normally choose for themselves, because that is so opposite of what it is. So I would want to do a movie where the truth was revealed, that hypnosis would give that person back their power, and that maybe through the film you would see what they were going through during their hypnotic journey and the transformative experience they would have when they came up and out of it. Who would I want to be casted? I thought about Cate Blanchett as the hypnotherapist, because she has such a beautiful voice and such a command of it. And just mesmerizing eyes. And I really would see Cate Blanchett as the hypnotherapist. And then I would just want to have Frances McDormand in the film as the person being hypnotized and coming out and having this transformation, because I just feel like she would embody that so beautifully. She's absolutely what I believe to be one of the best actors of our time, and I would love her in that film. So thank you for that question. That was a fun question, Giorgio. Adam and Michael both asked me what was the moment that made me decide to become a hypnotherapist. I'm not sure if it was one moment, but I was definitely inspired as a freshman in college when a hypnotist came to the college. It was the opening week, welcome week, and I was chosen from the audience to come up onto the stage. And there were 20 people that were called up, and little by little everyone was being tapped out because they were coming up and out of the hypnotic state. But I wasn't. I was really deeply in there, and he was able to do his final act on me, which was to twist my arm in multiple times. I mean, more than he probably should have been able to do. I felt no pain at all. And it was ooh, ah, the audience was wow, whoa, and I remember being conscious enough to know that he was doing it, but deep enough in my subconscious mind to not care or not feel afraid or not feel any pain. And I was fascinated by that. I was also fascinated by the fact that I remembered the whole thing. And all these people were coming off the stage saying, gee, I don't remember anything. Wow, tell me what I did. And I thought, oh, wow. Well, there's a wake-up call. They're all pretending. They're they believe they're not supposed to remember, and so they're telling everybody they don't remember. But they did. I'm sure they did. I certainly did, and I was the deepest person on the stage, and I still remembered the journey. Not maybe every second of it, but a good portion of it. And I was fascinated by hypnosis ever since. And the rest is history. It took me 10 years before I really thought about being a hypnotherapist from that day, but I found my way. I did, and I'm so glad that I did. Now, Patricia asks, how do I like to relax? And funny enough, my answer might surprise you, but I like to relax by watching scary movies. It's my favorite genre, and it's my favorite thing to do. I say, okay, I need to veg out, get out of my head, I want to relax. So I grab one of my pups and I watch a scary movie, and I love it. And it gets me into just a really fun place I've always loved to be since I was a kid. I mean, I've been watching scary movies since I was probably 10 or 11 years old. So I love it, and that's how I relax the most, believe it or not. Marwan asks, how do you manage criticism from people who believe misconceptions around spiritual or hypnotic practices? And that's a great question. And there is a lot of criticism because people just don't understand. Those misconceptions are out there, and they're out there in full swing. Unfortunately, there's some people are just going to be really married to what they believe. If they're open to a conversation, I would just say not to be defensive, but to say, I wonder if you've ever considered this, or did you know that? And gently guide them through some facts. And perhaps they'll be willing to listen and have a different point of view. But if they don't, that's okay. You know what you know, and your intentions are clear, and that's all you can do. We really can't help how people feel about things. We can educate them if they're willing to listen, but sometimes we just can't reach that person, and that is okay. That is okay. Tina asks what dogs I have and what their names are. I have a Mala, who is a rat terrier corgi mix. So her two front paws, or legs rather, are shorter than her back legs, which is so adorable, so cute. So she kind of stands a little bit like this. And she's about 12 pounds. She's just a little thing, and as pretty as can be. Really pretty rat terrier coloring. So she has the brown eyebrows and the brown cheeks, and then the black and white fur. She's really, really pretty and really cute. Very smart. Very, very, very smart. And then I have Allie. And Allie is a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. And she's a rescue. And she's a sweetheart. When we have guests in the house, she's always the one that makes the guests feel most comfortable. She's just so sweet, and she sits with them, and she's a really pretty girl. She sometimes will look at me and I feel like she's like a Disney dog. She just has that really pretty feminine Disney face, if you know what I mean. So anyway, those are the two girls, my two girls. Thank you for your question, Tina. Carolyn has a couple questions. Am I retiring soon? No. I plan to be working for a long while yet. So plenty of time to work together. And plenty more videos to come. You also asked, what would I come back as in my next life? I think a professional dancer or singer. Just another way to hypnotize, mesmerize, heal others. And there's something so empowering and healing when we watch someone dance, that movement of their bodies and the control. And I just think it's fascinating and wonderful. And I'm not a coordinated person, so I'm not a dancer. I can sing. I mean, I can karaoke sing, but I would love to have that wow voice, you know what I mean? Like that real transformative, healing kind of singing voice. So that's maybe what I would want to come back as. That's a great question. And what is a perfect day? What is a perfect day for me? I just had a really lovely day at a bathhouse, day spa. It was kind of a urban bathhouse with a family member and my partner, and we had the most wonderful time. I went in the sauna and the steam room, and then I would jump into this cold plunge tub, and so it was ice water, and it was just euphoric to just go from that hot sauna or steam room to that ice cold water. I'd plunge all the way in, come up, and I did this with family and with loved ones, and we just would deep dive into these conversations that just would last all day and into the night. And I felt like all of my tanks were just filled, you know, my heart tank, my intellectual tank, and just my energy tank, everything, my health tank. It was so wonderful. And I loved that day. And I would say that was pretty near perfect. It was pretty wonderful. Thank you for your wonderful questions, Carolyn. Christine asks about EMDR, and that's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Do I do it? Would I do it? Have I done it? Great questions. I really respect this modality, but I'm not officially trained in it. So if I ever am, absolutely it is something that I would use here. But I'm not officially trained. Now I know that there are some out here on YouTube who are just doing it anyway. I don't find that to be the most ethical practice, and so I want to be as ethical as I can. And so for that reason, I don't find that I'll be doing it anytime soon. But keep an eye out, and we'll see what happens potentially in the near future. Claire, lovely Claire, asks the following question. Can you speak during hypnosis? Is it something that I would ask a client to do? And what I would say is yes. Plenty of hypnotists and hypnotherapists will guide their clients to speak, to answer them directly in a vocal way during the hypnotic process. I don't, for two reasons. One, much of what I do is recorded, audio recorded, and it's a recording I want the client to be able to go back to as often as they'd like. And for that reason, I want that to be a journey that's unique to each and every time they listen. So having their voice throughout would hamper that a bit. So I don't ask clients to speak during the hypnotic process. The second reason is because for some, to ask the client to speak puts them in a position where they may feel that they need to be performative. Speaking doesn't always come easily. There isn't always something that they feel ready to say, and yet they may feel as if they have to say something, or they should, or that if they don't, they're not doing it right. And so for that reason, I don't ask clients to speak during. It is possible. And there are times where I will say, you may have something that you're thinking right now. You may have a voice in your head that's saying something right now, but I generally don't ask for it to be vocalized out loud. Every patient is different. Every client is different. Every journey is different. So I don't say it never happens, but it's not likely when you're working with me. What do I enjoy most about this work, you ask, Claire? I enjoy the connections with people all around the world. I have met some of the most beautiful soul friends, including you, and I just want to say that that is number one. It is the absolute best, and I'm so blessed and filled, heart-filled. My heart is so filled by my connections to you all. Lastly, you say, what did little Jayni, my inner child, want to be when I was very young? I either wanted to be a teacher or a social worker. Teacher when I was a kid, a social worker when I was a teenager. And I feel like the essence of those careers are still mixed in with what I do here. So I love that. What is the best way to use hypnosis? Can it be over and over? And is there a limit? That's what Fiona asked, and that's a great question. You can't listen to or experience hypnosis too often. And the reason is because it's natural. It's a natural state of your mind. You go into it automatically on your own regularly when you're listening to music or driving a car, when you're in a deep conversation with someone. So it's natural. So you can't go into a controlled hypnotic journey too often. I hope that makes sense. Fiona, that's a great question. Georgie asks, what moves you? And I would say tearjerker movies I love. When I see someone else crying, I tend to get moved by that. Goodbyes move me. So I don't cry at the drop of a hat, but I definitely will feel emotional pulls and tugs on the heart, and I can get emotional about those things for sure. Kristen asks, what is my favorite hobby? Scary movies for sure. As I mentioned, I love that. I love writing poetry and writing my memoir, which I'm still working on. Taking walks with my pups, my girls, and hosting. I love hosting, having friends to the house. I do enjoy that. Muriel asks, how did I meet my partner? Spring and I met in Los Angeles when we were both working there. Spring worked for the Ritz-Carlton, downtown LA, and I worked for the Hollywood Roosevelt. And we met, and the rest is history. We've been together for almost 13 years now. So that's pretty great. Zacharias asks, how do I approach sexual topics with clients? And that's where the term clinical would apply, because there are clinical aspects to sexual requests through my work that I'm happy to assist with. Sexual dysfunctions, any kinds of anxieties around being with a sexual partner, any kind of disconnection you may have with your physical body and intimacy, and I work around all of those things. I'm absolutely very willing and able, and there's been many, many cases that have been extremely fulfilling for people who have just felt disconnected from that aspect of their life. What I don't do is erotic hypnosis, which is a very different thing. In fact, it's not even hypnotherapy. These are role-playing. These are people who role-play on YouTube or other areas, and that's just not what I do. I am professional. If the request comes in, I'm definitely looking to make sure that that person understands that we're working in a clinical aspect, and there's plenty of ways that we do that. So I'm here to help if there's any way that you'd like to do that one-on-one, okay? Andrea asked, how did I learn about hypnosis? And that was my answer was with the first time that I was on stage at 18 years old as a freshman in college. And it was phenomenal to experience hypnosis in that way and to experience the way that my awareness changed and what that meant for me. Very cool. Very, very cool. Joe asks, what does snapping my fingers do? Snapping my fingers is a way to jolt your consciousness back. It drops out of the driver's seat because it's a way of escaping. You escape something that scares you. And so it's a very mild jolt for the conscious mind to jump back. And that gives the subconscious mind a chance to pop in. It's not everyone's favorite technique, but it is an induction that works very well. So I use it for most videos, but not all. And if it's not something that you enjoy, you can always look, if you drop down the description of that video, I will say in the description whether snaps are used or not. Okay. Aaron asks, what is my earliest memory? That's a lovely question. I'm adopted. My very earliest memory, I would be probably 2.5 or 3, barely 3. And I'm remembering the sounds of my biological parents. They were crying and having a conversation, an intimate conversation in the living room. I creep down the hallway and I'm listening and I'm watching them. And I believe, as I've come to learn later in life, that was sort of the goodbye conversation that they were having. They were splitting up, and the rest is history from there. And finally, this is for Wes Ritchie, who was looking for a shout out and a positive affirmation. And so, Wes, this is for you, my soul friend. I'm here to just offer you a moment to be right where you are, to be who you are, and to remember who you are. That no matter what you've been through, no matter what choices you've made, that maybe in hindsight you would have made differently, just know that right here, right now, you are exactly where you're meant to be, and that every choice ahead of you is an opportunity for you to smooth your path. I want you to remember that you are a soul that is light, and it is a soul of love. Remember that you are light and shine it. All of the human experiences are separate of that. Be in your light. Forgive yourself for anything that you feel that you would have done differently. Let it go and take that next step into your future. What you have is here and now. What you have is your light and your love. It's all there within you. And I say the same to anyone, to all of you who are listening right now, all of my soul friends. I want you to take very special care of yourselves. I'm here to support you in any way you need, and I hope you'll let me know if you'd like to be supported further, because I'm here to assist you in that way. Here's my contact information, and if you wouldn't mind just clicking the subscribe button if you're not yet a subscriber, I'd love to stay connected. I'll be posting another video here every 1 to 2 weeks, so stay close by. And if you could just click the thumbs up if you enjoyed this time with me, it really is very appreciated. You take wonderful care, my soul friends, and until next time, continue to journey within.